What's up, guys? Jimmy's not ready to do an L show.
I'm not. Is my
Not ready
internet
for it.
messed up now?
No, you're good
Are
to
we
me.
good? I'm not ready for an L show. I didn't expect an L show. Let's put it that way.
I don't
but
think
here
so either, though.
we are.
Here we are.
For Mitchell, 41 for Levert. I mean, what the F? You let these guys come into your home court tonight and just do whatever the hell they wanted.
Shot
though.
makers.
We were talking about it. Just shot makers, just killers. Feels that guy. That's why if you read the season preview, that's why you saw I had Cavs as my 4 seed. I think they've got what it takes. They didn't even have Garland tonight, and look what
I know
they were able to do. So
it's a good team.
A little bit of a lesson for this.
Well, I mean, kind of the same problems. Look, you're short Grant, so you're going in really, really low. Really, you're just not playing the type of game you want to play. When your best lineup, at least for the first part of the game, was double big involving Luke Cornett, like you're obviously it's a bit of an uphill battle. And not having Grant in there definitely messes with your rotations. So
can we just
double big turn the game around?
Silence for Luz?
Yeah, my God. Double big turn the game around. But you knew they were going to turn into a pumpkin at some point, right? Like, I didn't like starting Luke and OT at all.
Yes.
At all.
They're not a good double big lineup. It's not like two great bigs.
It's just a tall person. Right. It's not actually right, you really shouldn't play them.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. I mean, you could point to a lot of things. Ultimately, the defense is still brutal. And that's what's killing them. But I mean, some of those shots were just tough shots. The easy things to point at here, Tatum just didn't get enough action at all in the second half and in the fourth quarter and overtime. They stopped moving the ball, turned a little bit into my ball, your ball sort of offense. So the offense stagnated a tad. Just defensively, they were just bad. Guys were getting cooked left and right. Guys were making shots over them. And their guys just, you got beat by Levert and Mitchell scoring on your vaunted guys, and I also don't get why, we stopped switching everything. It's definitely a departure from what you saw last year. This doesn't remotely resemble, I know Rob's out. It doesn't remotely resemble last year's defense.
Not even close. We're already starting to get the articles like, don't worry about it. On the defense will come. But this was our big concern. I know you're right there with me. Big concern with the Celtics team is the defense going to carry over from last year? They wanted to go by playing defense. That was their identity. They turned their offense. A lot of their offense came from defense. Now they're relying or they're hoping that their offense is just going to come off of, because they're giving up so many points. They're not scoring out and they're not getting out in transition as much as they need to. They're not putting teams back on their heels. And again, they can score. Don't get me wrong. I mean, Tatum and Brown both had over 30 tonight, but that's not how they're going to win games. They need to be a defensive first mindset. And that was my concern when Ime, I knew Ime wasn't going to be coaching anymore. It's like, who's going to get that defense out of them? It took him months to beat it into them in order for them to start playing defense and believe that was a way to win. And now they have Manning's music.
No. Yeah,
Bobby, read the rules. Read the rules. Find a quiet spot.
Super chat. I want to say here, real quick. Putting it up there. Thank you guys for throwing down. Every little bit helps, and we do appreciate it. Though we don't expect it, but it is super nice when you do. Allows us to keep bringing the content to you for free. So thank you. I just want to say, was this Austin? What's up, Jimmy?
Yeah, I want to say real quick, when it's in U.S. dollars here to figure out, but it doesn't have to be. But I think we got what did we get last time? It was like 2 million something. And
several 100,000 of us.
I thought we were going to retire, but it ended up being a couple bucks, which is still fine. But just don't get my hopes up like that. Anyways, go on.
I love Smart. I really do. Brogdon has to get more minutes in the game. Keep doing what y'all love the show. Thank you, buddy. I appreciate that. look,
Thank you.
it's an easy, it's
Austin.
easy low-hanging fruit right now to say Smart, right? You know, like Smart was bad, Smart should have been pulled. This is where you're stuck a little bit if you're Joe, right?
Yeah.
You know, like, does Joe have the kind of what's to go with a Brogdon White closing lineup, which he probably should have if you read the game? Just wasn't Smart's night. Wasn't playing great defensively. Had a couple hustle plays. Was killing the offense. Wasn't doing a good job moving the ball. Just didn't have a good game. Didn't have a good game. I mean, every time he shoots a three, you're doing what the defense wants you to do. They want you to do that. They want the ball out of the Tatum and Brown's hands into your hands. Shoot the three. The problem is that's who he is. That's the guy. He's going to be that guy, and you can't stop him. So sometimes you just have to save him from himself and just get him out of there. That's all you can do. I mean, he was bad.
Well, he wasn't hitting his shots. I don't think all of his shots.
I think he had a bad. I think he had a bad game throughout. I mean, I think he had a bad game defensively as well.
He missed Brown on that sort of breakaway opportunity there towards the end where Brown turned it over, trying to save it from going out of bounds.
I think it was bad. It was just bad game.
Yeah, sure. Bad game. Absolutely. And talked about how Tatum wasn't maybe as involved as you wanted him to be. Well, some of those shots were leaving Marcus Smart's hand. Every shot that Smart takes is a shot that Brown aren't taking, guys that you wall and get into the basket doing those things. It's not that you don't have to be part of the offense, because obviously he needs to be at the guard position, but I think a lot of people could do without some of the that we saw tonight. Yeah, there it is. 3 of 15. I mean, that says it all. 2 of 9 from just not going to go down in the highlight reel of Marcus Smart.
He was a minus 26. He was a minus 26.
Hey, they're saying
the starters all
Wi-Fi is messed up, I think. That message that my Wi-Fi is not.
You seem okay to me. He was minus 26. All the starters were bad. The bench overall was better. But Smart was rough again. It's just a rough game and a rough start to his season offensively. Kind of same thing that he was last year. Throwing in another comment here on a super chat, and thanks, Ben. Smart cost us the game. He is not starting point guard. Brogdon has to start. Love Smart. The hustle doesn't counter his putrid offense. This is again. I'm not diminishing the point. We talked about this before the year. It's a point everyone's going to make. They're going to watch these games. They're going to see Brogdon. They're going to see that he's better offensively. They're going to want to make a switch, or they're going to start talking about a switch when Marcus has games like this. It's inevitable. Hard to argue with it tonight. I hate doing it. I don't want to react to everyone one game. I feel the way I feel about Smart. I think fans try extremely hard to point out the things that he's only okay at and make them bigger than they are, instead of accepting just he's a very good player who certain things he just doesn't do extremely well. And that's that. He's not a great scorer. He's not a good shooter. He's not a, true point guard in the sense that he doesn't threaten defenses in a lot of different ways. He's capable, he's able, and he does all the other things, and he defends and he switches and he plays, he's a great guy to have on your team, but sometimes you just need somebody else to kind of run the show. And this felt like one of those nights where they might have benefited from less Smart.
I agree on the offensive end, certainly. But I think in a close game, you defense. You're going to take out your best defensive player that you have on the roster down the stretch when you need stops. Now, I'm not at a great game defensively. And certainly as a team, we've already talked about, and we've mentioned on numerous shows, how the defense just isn't there right now. But you can't just take him out of the game in a close game. What you have to do is make it, I guess, there's within the team or whatever, that, hey, we want to get these Smart. You're in the game, okay? And if that conversation isn't happening, then maybe it needs to, because he's still valuable to the team. Even when he shoots the way he does, when the Celtics are playing small, they need guys like Mark Switch, obviously. They need...
This comment is fair from Darwin. It echoes what you're saying. Totally agree. There's Smart's value right there. When they're going small, you need Smart's physicality.
Sure. Perfect.
It's
So
true.
there it is.
You do.
But
Damned if you do.
You don't want him to give it,
and that's why it's not as easy as that. Yeah.
Exactly.
It's the full Marcus Smart experience. You're going to get frustrated by some things on offense. You're going to lament his limitations, but then you're going to ignore some of the things that that you need from him, and that he's given you or not given you. So it's tough. Joe Mazzulla taking a lot of flack here. I don't know what you do tonight. I think this was a tough game to manage because your front court is so bad. It's so bad. It's so thin. This is a nightmare matchup going against this team with twin towers that are going to play as much as they play. I don't know what you do here. I mean, he went to Blake a little bit. The Blake minutes weren't terrible. The Cornet minutes certainly in the second quarter worked. I don't know what you do there. Hauser was great. Kind of went away from him late. I mean, Hauser was plus 23 in 12 minutes. I don't know what else.
That second quarter, he was great.
Yeah. In that second quarter when things really took off, I'm not really sure what else you do there. If you're Joe,
I don't either.
What do you do? You play Tatum 42 minutes, Horford 41 minutes, Brown 43 minutes. Like, there's not much room to play better lines than what you played. You only have so many players out there. You're down 2 Williamses right now. Yeah.
I mean, Al Horford, 41 minutes. It's like you think they want. I mean, I know we're talking. You think they want Al Horford and even in the upper 30s? No, they don't. They don't want him probably in the lower 30s if they didn't have to. But this is the reality of it, and this is the issue that we had with this team going into the regular season was the lack of depth at the big position, right? I mean, that was the main concern. So It's a reality now. And when a guy's out for whether it's a suspension or could be a nagging injury, it's going to really rear its ugly head even more.
Bringing in Sherrod. Sounds like there's still a little bit of music back there. What's going on?
They're happy joy on the court. Now,
Who is?
Now, not in the game, but now when the game doesn't matter. Listen, we knew at some point that all those front court injuries were going to catch up to them. Then you throw in no Grant Williams. My goodness. This is bad, man. I mean, look, I know Luke Cornett, that's Bobby's guy, but damn. And it wasn't just Luke. It was a domino effect of not having a Grant or, Time Lord or, Danilo Gallinari. All of that really conspired. And to me, Cleveland is the worst case scenario for having those guys out. Because they have two legitimate twin tower types. And, I mean, when you see, like, Marcus Smart actually did the best job defensively on their bigs, he just couldn't do much with Donovan Mitchell or Karis LeVert.
Yeah, that's what's funny is we were just talking about that is Smart killed them offensively. I think a lot of times when that ball rotates to Smart and he shoots threes early in the clock or at least, with like 8, 9, 10 seconds left, that's what the defense wants you to do. I think you got to work for better shots. I think that version of Marcus is the one that drives fans crazy. It's the pre-trade deadline Marcus Smart that everybody wanted to trade. And then Marcus was like, I'm going to stop shooting threes and start distributing the ball. And this comment kind of says it here from the super chat. Thank you, Ben. Marcus does get a little shot happy until, somebody tells him like, don't do that. Do the other stuff, but you're right. They had a really tough time with LeVert and Mitchell. Mitchell was a friggin' assassin, and LeVert, I mean, it just unbelievable. So yeah, they had a really tough time with their guards. And there's really no solution for the bigs. You're playing Luke Cornett, heavy minutes. You're starting OT with Luke Cornett in there just to match size. We talked about this before, Sherrod. What do you do here when you're short, when you've got front court issues? Do you try to counter them by playing the Luke Cornets, or do you just say, I'm going to play my best five and fine, they'll beat us up with some size, but we're going to beat them up in other ways?
I think you got to play your best five. Because
that's what I say.
That's why they're your best five. I mean, think about this. Marcus Smart did as good a job as anyone on this team defending their bigs, and there was a stretch where Cleveland went away from their bigs in part because of that. This was a game where I would have played Al Horford big minutes. This would have been my big minute Al game because, you did not have enough depth in that front court to really make an impact. And Blake Griffin, I mean, I tweeted about this earlier. It's like Daniel Tice 2.0. Crazy quick whistles that he got. And there were a couple that were kind of 50-50 calls that didn't go his way. But Blake had like 3 or 4 fouls in like 2 minutes on the court. And again, no Grant Williams, Blake Griffin in foul trouble. You don't have Time Lord. You don't have Danilo Gallinari. You're down to your 3rd/4th center that you're playing first center minutes. And give Cleveland credit. They recognized Luke Kornet on the floor, and they went at him. Bobby and I had a conversation when Luke checked into the game. Bobby thought that he was going to redeem himself from what happened in Florida. And within 10 seconds, he gets dunked on. And it did not get much better after that.
Many times.
Bobby, you're more than welcome to keep all that Luke Kornet stock.
I'll hang on to it for a minute.
You go ahead, I said,
I'm liking what he brought them tonight. And there were rough moments, right? The breakout dunk where he couldn't get back in transition was pretty much the end of his night. You had a couple.
But other than that, he was
him.
great, though. But other than that, he was great.
Well, it was better than small ball where they're getting back down and guys are getting in the rim and they're fouling their heads off in the first. I like the adjustment. So what's frustrating me with the Celtics right now, though, is they're giving up so many open looks. And it's not only the fact that they're dropping back, and I just actually talked to JB Bickerstaff about that, like, you know, how teams are going at the Celtics when they're pretty much just planting their center at the rim. He loved it. You know, he loved the fact that Mitchell and LeVert were taking practice shots all game long, even though they were 2-pointers, even though Mitchell didn't get off to the best, most efficient start. It's letting these guys heat up as the game goes on. And we saw it in Miami. We saw it in Orlando with Terrence Ross. We saw it in the Chicago game, most specifically with DeMar DeRozan, Zach LaVine. They're letting jump shooters get hot because they're just sitting back in the paint. Guys aren't getting through screens. The centers aren't helping. And you're not seeing the same level of switching and activity that this team played defensively with last year.
Yeah, but look, you're going to point to the defense, and that's fine. The reality is they scored 39 points in the second half, so the offense absolutely went to shit for Boston. Something happened there, total stagnation. You put 75 up on the number 1 ranked defense in the league in the first half. You scored 39 points in the second half. Everything stopped. All the flow stopped.
And I think part of that has to do with the fact that they got comfortable.
Sherrod, it's getting serious.
I wanna read it.
Oh, stop, Jimmy! Just stop.
What?
You might have to join in the dining room, Sherrod. I think they're doing like a ticket
What's
event
going on out there? This was a loss over there tonight, right? What's going on?
So Sweet Caroline all night.
You wouldn't know it by the folks on the court now. They're winning this one, baby.
Damn. Okay, Spice Girls. We're going to get this. We got to be careful. We don't want to get a copyright infringement here.
Oh, that's right. Hey, so I agree. I put up a super chat comment by Dirk. Look, games like this happen. It's not an overreaction game, but it is a game where once again you're just seeing the flaws that aren't going away, and that's a problem. Coupled with a couple of not so great performances from certain players. But the front court issue is a problem. The lack of wing depth is a problem. We've seen reports recently that they might start thinking about using those TPEs. Yeah, that $17 million one could have gotten you a pretty good player, and you didn't. Now you're going to scramble and get some bargain basement guys. That's fine, but you did get you sat back a little bit because you're like, hey, we look good. And then the Gallinari injury happened, and then the Williams injury happened. You're in trouble right now. You are really, because Gallinari, the good thing is he could have substituted as both like a pseudo wing kind of shooting guy and an extra big there. He would have taken some of the heat off of Tatum and Brown in addition to providing front court depth. That loss is actually pretty freaking huge. And then obviously neither Williams boy tonight, but that stuff's not getting better. I mean, you're hopefully getting healthy with Rob, but you can't just wait for that. In the interim, what do you do to, like, are we going to do this every time? Like, not every time. Are you going to be like, all right, well, we're small, so let's throw in Kornet, or just say screw it and just play? Like, because I don't really get it.
You just hurt Bobby's feelings.
I think we'll see more of Grant. I mean, I don't think there's any question now that we'll see a lot more Grant going forward, because I don't care what Bobby said. Luke was not good tonight. He just wasn't that good. He got a couple of buckets, but his inability to hold his own in the paint, his inability to help out defensively, his inability to avoid getting dunked on. This was just not a good Luke Cornett night.
He's not.
All.
It was during a stretch where the Celtics unit did well against the Cavs unit that was in there. But the reality is, and then you started the second half with him, and what happened? 15-point lead erased. Then you started overtime with him, and you're down 7. So I mean, it's just that was house money that you got when you went. I think they might have fooled themselves into thinking that double big lineup is what got them back into the game, and I don't think that was the case. They were aggressive. They were attacking the paint. They were doing a lot of different things offensively, getting downhill, really impressive stuff. And, the offense was just humming at that time. I don't think it had to do with Luke Cornett's presence in the game. And so, yes, you played a little too much Luke here.
You did, and we mentioned it a little bit earlier, but what were your other options? I mean, you could have just gone small and let Jared Allen, I guess, drop 41 on you as well. But in this situation,
wow,
they're thin as
this one.
Wow, JB Zhang.
Whoa.
Shout out JB Zhang. Hey, that's a real comment right there. 2020
That's
lockdown.
Phenomenal.
That was
phenomenal.
That was the birth of our show, and I can't tell you how many people have sent me a message similar to that, and I feel the same way. I felt like we all got each other through that stretch of time. That was a rough time.
Yeah, I think the hosts on the show we was like a support group sort of, because we got to talk about stuff that was non-COVID related for the first time, and so it was like almost just an escape from like the madness of our crazy everyday lives at the time, and then also the connection that we made with the fans, which we still have. So thank you very much for that. I appreciate it. Really
that,
do.
JB.
But yeah, I hear you, Jimmy. We could go around in circles. I don't have an answer either. I mean, I agree. Like, what else are you going to do? I just say lean into it. Lean into who you are, and you really need to manage those minutes. You're looking at 8 to 10 Blakes, 8 to 10 Cornets, 10 to 12 Hausers, and you pick your spots. And that's Joe's job, is to find the right spots and the right moments where you play those guys. And then you can't go back to it. Almost all of the time when you get bonus minutes that are like better than you expect from a guy who you don't expect to really make a contribution, the second time through almost ends up completely negating it, if not setting you backwards. Almost always. I feel like it's really rare where you're going to go to the Cornet well twice, and it's going to pay out for you.
No, I mean the big low key, or I should say main factor, or big factor, I should say, was Blake Griffin in the foul trouble. I thought this was, if you take away the fouls, I thought this was one of Blake's better starts. He seemed to be.
I think so too.
And when he picked up those fouls, it was just like, damn. Of all the games that they really needed Blake to just be some semblance of Blake, which I thought he was offensively and
had a 3.
Yeah, I mean,
took one off the dome, but other than that, it was pretty clean. That was a tough one.
It was. That kind of hurt. That kind of hurt.
That hurt the mojo.
But I thought this was one of Blake's better games, though. And I'm hoping that he can build off of this and avoid foul trouble and give them a little bit of something that he was giving them tonight. Because, again, other than the foul trouble, that to me is what killed him. But Joe Mazzulla, again, to me, this is one of those rookie coach moments. You've got a veteran in Blake who's playing well, who is in foul trouble. You got to figure out a way to keep him on the floor, because the guy that you had out there wasn't getting it done, and you knew Blake could. And this particular night, again, Joe will learn from this. The Celtics will learn from this. They'll be better for it. But damn, this was one that you really should have been able to get.
Well, that's 2 in a row now, Sherrod, and we can keep talking about it. But Monday was a big lesson, blowing a big lead that they had, 19 points in the first quarter, in a very winnable game in Chicago. They have all week to, check the tapes and get back in the right mindset, come out flat tonight. To their credit, great end to that first quarter. And they kind of they took control of this game. All of a sudden you're thinking, okay, are the Cavs really going to, do they really have enough to claw back in this win? And sure enough, then all of a sudden they take the lead, right? The Cavs take the lead, and it's just like, here we go again. This is like kind of shades of 2 years ago, lacking that kind of killer instinct, that ability to sort of put teams away when you have the ability to. I'm not saying we're there. I'm not trying to, blow 2 games up into a 82 game season, but it's certainly not a, pattern that I want to see. And again, it goes back to what we were talking right before you came on, Sherrod. Without Ime, a guy that kind of knows how to get these guys going and's been there and done that and already went through 3 months of hell last season before they snapped out of it. I hope they weren't in for a repeat of that. And I also wonder if Mazzulla has that ability to get that out of these guys, get them to play hard for a certain amount of time on the defensive end, or, build a lead instead of give up a lead, when it matters most. Like, those are all going to be first for Mazzulla. So I feel like we're going to kind of experience some of these types of losses a little bit more than maybe we want to.
And they're just not doing the same stuff, though. They're just not they're not playing the same defense. It's not just personnel. It's not just missing Rob. They're not playing that same switching style defense. Everything just looks different right now with the style that they're playing. So whatever was working for them, was the identity for the team, is out the window. They score and it's fun. These games have been fun. This was a fun game, but you can't stop anybody right now. I mean, it's dreadfully bad. They're a bottom 5 defense in the league. Like, that's not fluky. I know it's 5 games and we can say oh, it's fixable, but right now you've got scheme issues and you've got personnel issues. So I don't know what fixes it at the moment.
I don't think there is a one-size-fits-all fix to this, but I think that they need to be a little more creative what they're doing defensively, because it seems like they're trying to pivot into this different style of defense, yet there's some guys who I think are still locked into what they did last season. They're not doing enough of what worked in order to work now. Because, they scored 75 points in the first half. This Cleveland team only gave up 100 per game all season. They got 75 in the first half. To have that type of offensive firepower and to go completely dark in the second half, you can't do that if you're an elite team. They've got to figure some things out. They got to figure out who the hell they are, because I don't think they know who that is yet.
Sherrod, I see you wore your Cavs colors tonight. What do you think of the Cavs? With Mitchell on the squad, obviously he dropped 41 tonight. He looked pretty damn good, but this is the team that they have to worry about, right?
Well, first of all, let's get through the color thing. Every damn team has 17 damn colors, so there's no way you can. These are the Celtics colors at some point this season.
That's the City Edition, right? Yeah,
exactly. No, but Donovan Mitchell, this was maybe the best I've seen him look against the Celtics ever. The in-out game, the Euro steps, the 3-ball, getting other guys involved. I thought this was one of the more complete games he's played. And again, Cleveland is going to be a team to reckon with. They have the type of makeup that's going to cause you fits in a best-of-7 series. They're built to. They're more playoff built than I think people realize, because of the fact that the game slows down in the playoffs. They have the kind of personnel that can be effective when the game slows down. So I'd be worried about them.
All right, we're gonna hear from Joe Mazzulla here, give you a little promotional message, and continue the show. But here's Joe talking about the defensive issues with the team right now.
Is there a concern that this is becoming a trend with the defense and the offensive rebounding?
I think we just have to execute. I don't know if it's a trend or an issue. I thought we were winning the game, and so we had a chance to win the game. We didn't close out certain possessions, so I don't know if it's as much of an issue as it is just being more consistent on both ends of the floor and not relaxing and just understanding we have to earn every win. So I think that's what the focus is.
Definitely some relaxing, and they definitely smoked a couple of possessions when they had opportunities to put the game away. 4-point lead late. Yeah, no question about it. But still doesn't address the issue of the defense and what's exactly going on right now with it. Again, we've thrown the numbers around, and it's just it's a bad defense. It's bad defense right now. Brutally bad defense.
And it's not just one or two guys. It's the group. It's the group. And you can't talk about winning a championship if your defense isn't better than this. It just doesn't work that way. And I'm not convinced that when Rob gets back, all of a sudden that's going to be that magic elixir that's going to make everything right. I think it will help. Without question, it'll help. But they need to want to be a good defensive team. I don't think the effort, the focus, the energy, the attention to detail at that end of the floor is where it needs to be. And I don't know whether that's just them kind of resting on the laurels of what they did a year ago, or whether there's something more going on. Maybe is Joe getting through to them that is an important aspect of the game. That to me, again, there's so many unclear aspects about who the hell this team is, what their motivation is, and whether they can put it together. Obviously, we got a lot of games left to play, but this is not what you're expecting to see. It's one thing to lose. It's another thing when you're not being who you talent-wise should be. This isn't like you just played Golden State or Memphis or teams that are at the top tier. And Cleveland's going to be a good team. There's no doubt about that. But you should handle your business at home. You should not have lost this game. Even without some of you guys, you still should have found a way to win.
I know we already talked about it a little bit, but I was just looking at the box score. 22 minutes for Brogdon does seem low, especially for a game that went into overtime. There are a lot of minutes going around. 22 minutes for Malcolm Brogdon?
He should have had some of Smart's minutes tonight.
Definitely, right?
Just the way the flow of the game was going. That's one that I'm not really quite sure of either, because Malcolm, in the grand scheme of things, should be playing 25 to 30 minutes every night, and at a minimum, 20 easy. But the way that this game was going, and I'm looking at Malcolm's numbers, 3 or 5 shooting, had 5 assists, 2 rebounds, and 22.
He was all right. He was only a -1 in a game where Marcus Smart was a -26.
Right.
I mean, look at that difference right there.
Yeah, this was one of Marcus's worst games. He hasn't had a game this bad in a long, long time. And then you look over at the other side of the box score and you see that LeVert had 41, Mitchell had 41. How the hell does that happen?
Overtime.
When the strength of your defense is having 3 guards that can guard the floor and switch and play on different to have LeVert and Mitchell go for 82 is really bad.
That's gonna be up there for combined, two dudes in the Garden, right? That's gonna be up there.
I mean, I don't know. I can't remember the last time 2 guards lit them up. Steph and Clay don't even light the Celtics up like this. I mean, damn, This was bad.
LeVert was a guy that was around, man. He was available.
Yeah, but he's such a streaky guy. Such a streaky guy.
Speaking of streaky guys,
hey,
what's up, Josue?
What you mean?
You're looking good.
You're
looking
good.
You're not play. Jimmy, when I used to play,
good. Yeah.
I was not streaky, right?
All right. Solid.
All right.
Kind of like Marcus Smart, but today's a bad example. I had
just like
big
that.
Marcus Smart
Just
energy.
like that. Okay. What's going on, man?
Where do I begin? Where
You got the hoodie in the
guys
Garden tonight.
right now? You guys talking about the bigs?
We're all over the map. We want to know your take on it.
First, we're gonna talk.
You hate to see this.
We're gonna talk about athletic greens. Okay.
You really hate to see this.
Okay.
Josue comes on and we go straight to the ads.
Josue comes on, but that's because I know people are gonna wait around now that Josue's here, so I've hooked them.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, we want to tell you about our partner. It's a product that we all use every day. We all take AG1 here on the Garden Report. Every last one of us, I'm actually certain of that. Because why? We like it. Better gut health, energy, optimized immune system. We look at how peppy we are, right?
It's 11 o'clock. We're all functioning at 100% capacity right now.
Look at how peppy we are. I drink less coffee. I just feel more alert.
Exactly.
I love it.
I'm coffee free right now. So,
I love it.
Oh, you coffee free?
Yeah.
Pretty damn good.
I have 2 sips in the morning instead of like 40 ounces. Yeah. But what is this stuff? It's 1 scoop. 75 high quality vitamins, minerals, whole food sourced ingredients, help you start your day right. Special blend of ingredients supports all the things we just talked about: gut health, nervous system, immune system, energy, focus, aging. It's diet friendly, virtually no sugar, supports better sleep quality. It's endorsed by a zillion celebrities and athletes and doctors
Including
and all of that
4.
stuff. Huh?
Including us 4 celebrities.
Yeah, celebrities.
Again,
AG1's legit, man. It's just like we said. It's easy.
It's
Pop
easy.
Pop it in a cup in the morning, down the hatch, off you go, and
done.
You don't have to think twice about it.
It costs $3 a day, which I guarantee you're spending more on individual supplements if you're one-stop shop. If you're going, a bunch of different places, you can one-stop shop it here with just Athletic Greens. It's a climate neutral certified company. So there's a lot of, good that it does as well. As a company itself, not only for, your body, but for the planet. So
you feel good about buying it.
You feel good about buying it. In 2020, AG donated over 1.2 million meals to kids. So again, it's a solid company. Support it, support us. And we would really appreciate it. Athletic Greens give you a 1-year supply of vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase if you go to athleticgreens.com/garden to take ownership of your health. And again, we'll give you this phenomenal t-shirt if you send us a DM with everything. But
I'm close to skeptical on this shirt. I still haven't seen it, but
Josue, what's your take?
I mean, where do we begin? I'm trying to zero down on the big three, and one of them has to be just the decisions down the stretch. I mean, look, we know what the situation is with the front court. No Rob Williams, no Grant Williams, so we all expected Kornet to get his playing time. And Bobby and I talked about it on Twitter Spaces, and I'm like, yeah, of course. And Bobby's like, wow, you're on the Kornet train now. I'm like, well, if Grant's out, I mean, you have to use that size, you have to utilize that. But I just think it was too much of it, honestly, down the stretch. I mean, you got guys like Malcolm Brogdon, Derek White, sitting on the bench. I mean, they didn't have the greatest game in the world, but they gave you important buckets. They made important plays down the stretch. I mean, I just don't see the whole double big thing going into overtime and you sticking with that. John, you put up an interesting tweet up. It was like, this is risky because obviously you have 5 minutes in overtime. If things go south, 3 minutes into it, that could be too big of a hole to climb out of. And that's exactly what happened, John.
You pull the plug on Kornet 3 minutes into the second half. You've got a ton of time to make up for it. In overtime, I did not like that move at all.
So I asked Joe Mazzulla about it, and he just kept pointing to size. And I'm just like, well, okay, but the two guys who are killing you, Donovan Mitchell and Karis LeVert, the best duo from Cleveland in years. They ain't big, exactly. Like, why not stick with veterans, stick with guys that helped protect that lead, even though you did end up going into overtime, which you probably shouldn't have. But you could easily win this game. I mean, Kornet is just not built for something like this. And I don't mean that in like skill-wise. I just mean experience.
He's tall, but he doesn't play big either. He just doesn't. He's not a presence.
Right.
Just tall.
I was telling Ahmed during the game. I'm like, he's getting dunked on because guys just see in his eyes that dunk over him. Like, this guy.
They don't respect him.
I don't think it's fear or whatever, but yeah, to a certain extent, yeah, they don't respect. It's like, this guy, you haven't played. You're not.
He's not going to challenge
well-known guy. He's not going to challenge you, exactly. And his body language tells you that. He's backpedaling. His knees are shaking. Like, so that's the big thing for me.
He's sweating the minute he walks onto the court.
Wait, what's
as soon as he walked in, Donovan Mitchell was licking his
shaking.
chops.
No.
He's like, I'm going to dunk on a 7-footer tonight, and no one's going to stop me. And he did.
Bobby, defend your boy.
Bobby is steaming.
Oh, they're down, 13 in the first quarter. He comes in, settles things down in the second quarter.
No,
I mean, he's not blocking shots.
He didn't settle
He's
things
preventing
down.
shots at the rim. So this is the trade-off they're going to have to make right now. They're either going to have to play Vonleh
He's
and
inviting
Horford
shots
together.
with the rim.
They're either going to have to play Vonleh and Horford together and switch a ton and leave a guard off the floor, go super small, which they did early, and got back down and beat up by these bigs, fouling 10 times. Like, they can't win with a lot of this stuff. So I like them trying him tonight. I like them extending him. Maybe there were points late in the fourth quarter, and as you point to, overtime, where you could have went back to your small lineup and tried to win that way with your best players on the floor. I don't think playing Brogdon 22 minutes tonight was the right idea. Probably play Derek White too much at the very least, even if you were going to go big there. But you need to see what you have early this year. And not playing Kornet at all early in the year, as they have, wasn't the right move. They saw some good things from him tonight. They saw some bad things. They probably let him go too long. But they have to figure some stuff out here. Grant's out. Rob's out. Gallinari's like, they have to try what they have.
You say
like I said, use
like
him
that,
or lose
though.
him.
Bobby, you say things like not playing him wasn't the right thing, but I feel they were 3-0 in games they didn't play him and 0-2 in games they did.
Well, you're giving the benefit of the doubt to Noah Vonleh, who's fouling his head off every time he comes in the game.
I understand, but I mean, I don't know what we're doing
getting
here.
screwed. Vonleh got screwed in Chicago.
Vonleh's had a tough whistle.
3 of those fouls were not fouls. I just want that on the record. But
Blake had a tough whistle too, but that's true. Yeah,
Blake is really struggling. Their front court's a mess.
So everybody here thinks Blake and Vonleh are playing significantly better than Kornet. So we definitely have a bit of a disconnect here.
What is Blake doing?
Not being Luke Kornet.
Right.
He doesn't bring size. He can't set a screen. He can't really score.
He hit a 3 tonight.
He did hit a 3.
He took one off the face too, and he kept going. Like, didn't skip a beat.
Well, when we talk about this front court right now, we obviously don't have a great option when we look at it, no matter who our guy is. And, whether it's Vonleh, whether it's Kornet, whoever you're supporting here, they're not great options. And this is what a lot of people in our chat said. A lot of people, a lot of fans didn't love the front court they came into this year. I didn't think it was a big deal, but it's a big deal. Like, they're playing Grant and center in 2 of these games so far. And rebounding, huge issue. You guys have probably talked about those 2 big LeVert ones down the stretch that basically flipped this game. That's killing them right now in spots. Joe Mazzulla pretty much said that pregame is that they're guarding well on the first and second tries. Sometimes they're giving up third chance baskets right now. So beyond all the defensive and offensive worries you have right now, their bigs aren't rebounding at a high level. And Horford was good offensively in this one, but he's going to have to step up defensively too.
The LeVert offensive rebound, nobody put a body on him. He just comes flying into the paint.
He came flying in, yeah. And
Bobby,
then he just shot
Josue,
it.
sorry, you were muted there. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying he literally had enough time to grab the rebound, run to the corner,
all the way to the 3-point line.
Like,
and Al's like, is anybody else on the floor right now? He was
he threw a temper tantrum. Yeah,
he was like, where is everyone?
Yeah.
That blew the game.
That was terrible. Let me ask you guys this: what happened? Tatum pulled a Jalen.
What?
Today. Where did he go?
Oh.
Where did he go in the 4? Why'd they stop? Where did he go? Why'd they stop giving him the ball?
All the shots.
Smart took all the shots. Even the last possession of the game. What the hell's Smart dribbling it for the first 18 seconds?
Get rid of the ball.
He gave it to him with 5 seconds left. Of course, all you're going to get is a pull up there.
Yeah, that was so bad.
But anyway, Tatum, they went away. He wasn't involved enough. So I felt like every time he did get the ball, he decided, he's like, all right, I got to go ISO style. That's almost like what used to happen to Jalen in games where he's like, oh, I finally touched it. Now I got to shoot, what did we miss there?
Well,
I mean,
Mobley kind of locked him down on one possession there.
But he was ridiculous.
In the second half. Yeah.
He was ridiculous in the first half. What happened?
He was.
I thought Cleveland did a better job down the stretch, blitzing, showing to force him to give the ball up. The mistake I thought the Celtics made was they didn't get Tatum the ball early enough.
Sherrod echoing?
Yes, I am.
Sherrod, you're echoing right now. Hold on.
Because he's next to Josue. Busted.
They're neighbors right next to each other.
Busted.
They can't.
John, we'll talk about it later.
We can hear Josue's echo too.
As I was saying, Cleveland, I thought, did a good job of blitzing Tatum, getting the ball out of his hands quickly. That's why you got to get him the ball early in the shot clock so he can give it up and then get it back. And that wasn't happening. They were holding on to the ball, giving it to them last minute, and then he's got a double team, and he's either going to take a forced contested shot with 2 defenders on him, or he's going to pass it to wide open Marcus Smart. And tonight was just not the night to pass it to a wide open Marcus Smart. That happened way too many times.
It's a bad look. I'll scream this from the top of my lungs, dating back to 5 years ago, and I'll say it until my last breath. Those Marcus Smart threes are all bad shots because it's what the defense wants you to take. Work for a better if you're taking it with 10 seconds or more left on the clock, I guarantee there's a better shot to be had. Work work harder. He took a couple of them with 12 and 10 seconds on the clock. No,
those are bad shots.
Work
Those are bad
harder.
shots.
When he takes it, if it swings after a long possession, and that's the shot actually the last 3 he took, that was a great look.
That was a
with
good
3
one. That was a
seconds
great
left
look.
that they worked for, and they couldn't get another open look before that, and that was a clean look, and that was a shot you want him to take. There was too many where it's just, oh, I got it and I'm open. Launch. Wrong.
John,
Those are bad shots.
We missed it. I think you missed posting a super chat earlier. I can't find it anymore, but it was somebody that said Smart and Horford have been horrible, and they paid $2 to say it. So I kind of respect that. I kind of respect that move. Like you just are so frustrated with the guy. You're like, I'm gonna pay to say this. I don't care.
How much does it cost? $1 for each of them.
Is that the $2 Chuck? Is that our $2 Chuck right there?
For $2, you can scream that you hate how somebody's playing right now, I guess. But
I thought
no.
Al was solid today. I mean, it wasn't great, but compared to Marcus,
Al was fine. Marcus had a rough game all around.
Yeah, he got been.
He got cooked on defense. Yeah, defense. But again, those threes have to be
big 3 over him. Yeah.
Those threes are late in the club. What happened last year? Why do we have to do this with Marcus all the time? I'm bored having this conversation. We've done this already. The version of Marcus we like is the one who got scared that he was going to get traded last year and stopped shooting threes, and then started distributing the ball and started and that was it. And his shot attempts went down to like 7-8 a game. That's the guy. He forgets himself, and he has games where he's shooting 15, 18 times. That's wrong. It's just wrong. It's just not what you're supposed to do. He's got to get those out of his system. It's not, especially in a game where Tatum and Brown are freaking on fire. I understand sometimes when the offense stagnates, I actually like that Marcus will be like, screw it. I'm going to take some of this on myself because no one's doing anything. And sometimes you actually need that. And he will force the issue, even though he's not the most offensively gifted player. This wasn't that night. This was just I feel like shooting sort of night. It was sloppy. It's irresponsible. That's what bugs you on a night like this. They didn't need it. It didn't work. It wasn't part of the flow. They were doing fine without it. It was the only bad thing going on with their offense. I don't know why he kept doing it early and often.
Yeah, the long misses also led to easy buckets for the
transition.
Cavs.
The other, it's such.
Yeah. I
Didn't
mean,
need
that's why they got rid of that 17-point deficit so quickly. I mean, in the midway through the fourth quarter, it was a tie game, and honestly, didn't look good for Boston. I mean, they were able to manage, somewhat of a run towards the end of the regulation to force overtime. But I'm with you, John. But I just think
it's not smart basketball. It's not smart basketball.
On the list of things that went bad today, like how high is that on your list? I mean, I don't know.
Marcus Smart having a really bad game on both sides, I think, was a big story tonight.
Yeah, I mean the struggles he had offensively, that's one thing, but the 41 points that Donovan dropped, the 41 points that Karras dropped, that should not happen. One of those guys going off like that, I get it, but damn, 82 from their starting backcourt?
Yeah.
I mean, that just should never happen.
Yeah, and
okay,
again,
but Sherrod, solid point. However, when you have your second and third best backcourt defenders sitting on the bench during overtime, you're really not doing yourself much favors, right? Like,
agree.
You have Brogdon. Oh, Marcus played, I guess, but still, no, excuse me, Marcus and Derek White. I mean, look, Derek White's not the best defender out there, but I thought that he gave you a lot more than you saw with the lineup with the two bigs with Cornette. I would have loved to see that lineup, start overtime and just see what happens there. But I guess Joe Mazzulla was too afraid about
it's a catch-22 right now because John's talked about this too. Even in the playoffs last year, they're going at White. They're putting them in switches and backing them down and creating baskets out of those. So right now, you don't have a perfect lineup that can defend and score. Because when you have Luke out there, again, I thought the defense improved in those moments, but you don't have a big that can be an outlet for offense. You don't have a secondary shooter, whether that's Brogdon or whether that's White. Those guys end up off the floor. You can sprinkle in Hauser. And again, this goes back to some of the fatal flaws on this roster right now with the injuries and depth problems that they have. And Grant helps us a little bit, but you can't play Hauser as an extended minutes guy because he's going to get hit defensively. So you're ending up in these situations where your defense is exposed if you're trying to go a little bit more versatile and offensive. And I think that's what Mazzulla really wants to do. He did it again to start this game. We talked to him yesterday and he says, yeah, we're going against a big team, a physical team, but we want to still do like the speed, the skill stuff that we do well. And they did it well here. But in the moments where they put that lineup on the floor, I thought they really got nailed by Cleveland's offense. And again, this is a bad defense right now. I wrote about it yesterday. Like, it's not only are they giving up a ton of shots, but they're just not connected. These new guys that they're trying to integrate in, even Brogdon to some degree, having a tough time with all the switching on the perimeter and, trying to prevent jump shots. And teams are torching them. I thought even Miami shot well against them. So I don't know how they fix this right now.
Yeah, but see, I think there were so many times where it just seemed like Luke Cornett was a turnstile on defense, and it wasn't even about getting dunked on. Not even just those plays, but back to the basket, getting back down.
By Mobley, yeah, he had a few big makes.
It was a layup almost every single time they had a layup. So when you're trading baskets like that, it puts yourself you're in a difficult situation. On top,
and you know what the crazy thing is?
Too many offensive rebounds.
The crazy thing is, you played all these centers tonight, and Al still went 41 minutes. So you're still pretty reliant on him too.
Well, when Blake Griffin gets almost 4 fouls in the first quarter, I mean, it really doesn't help. What was it, 20 fouls called in that first quarter between both teams? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you're thrilled with where this offense is at now for the most part early this year. But
where'd the switching go, Bobby? What are we doing here?
I don't know. I haven't gotten a good answer on it. You see the difference, John, right? Like, that big is not coming out of the paint.
Nope,
and that was not what they did. They sprinkled that in last year. You may like to do that at times with.
But even without Rob, they were still doing it. They were still playing that scheme. I mean, they were committed to it and they live by it, die by it. It's just not there.
Part of me thinks guys aren't ready for it. Part of me thinks they don't want to overextend Al by having him guard the perimeter for the entire night for 40 minutes. And part of me thinks that they're playing the analytics here. And Jay, again, I talked to Bickerstaff about that after. He's like, you can say the analytics take away the rim, but we're getting open jump shots, so we love this. And pretty much every team the Celtics have played have loved it, right?
They're loving the mid-range off these guys, right?
Tyler Hero gets going, Mitchell gets going. They are letting guards go off right now. And you know what? Part of that's on the perimeter players. They're not getting through screens. Smart does a decent job. White does an okay job. Brown and Tatum going to do a better job with that.
Yeah. Yeah. Again, going back to what Jimmy said, during some of our preview type of shows, nothing's guaranteed. You can return the same guys, but when your bread and butter is defense, that's it. And again, Bobby, this is why I always give you a hard time with can he play defense, a defensive player? Defense is a choice. It's a commitment. You buy in or you don't, which is why I don't put that much stock into great defender or not great defender, because if you get anybody to buy into whatever it is that you're doing, I think you can make it work for you. And right now, they're not connected. Doesn't look like last year. It's not the same sort of thing. So it doesn't matter that they did perform well before. If they're choosing not to, or they're not going to give the same level of effort or sacrifice, or they're just not, or you've got some personnel gaps in here now. The whole point last year was that everybody was connected. So they had 5 guys out there. It looked like they had 7 guys out there. They were there were times it literally looked impossible to score on them. There's no sense of that right now.
Yeah,
teams would work the ball around the perimeter and they'd get no closer to score. There'd be 4 seconds left on the clock, and they're like, "Crap, we haven't done a friggin' thing yet." I mean, and that's not happening right now.
I thought the most staggering stat, you talk about how difficult they looked against them last year and how disruptive they were. They went from second in forcing turnovers, opposing turnover percentage, to 29th entering tonight. So they're not forcing turnovers. They got one great block from Horford inside tonight. I didn't see many blocks in this game, but you're right. It's an intensity thing. That Miami game was probably the odd one out of all of these, where they were pretty intense, locked down late, and blocked a ton of shots and were pretty intense on the perimeter. But that's it so far.
I know it's early, but you're already getting a comment from Missoula in the post game, and I don't know whether he means it or not, but we need to learn how to win again. We're not doing this now, are we?
Yeah, he said that shit. Yep.
What does that mean, Josue?
Doing what? Doing what?
What we did last year. We just got to learn that we got to find our. I don't want to do that again.
Is the energy about to shift again?
I think he meant it. I think he meant it as in, just getting back to what they were doing. But you have to be careful with your language, right? You can't say, you don't want to talk about what Ime did last season, all that, because you have to move on. So I get what he's saying, but yeah, it does sound like as if like they forgot how to win. I don't think he meant it in that way.
All right.
It's just like the fundamentals. He's been preaching the fundamentals, and that was pretty much the cliff notes of that press conference. Just like we need to get back to the fundamentals and effort and rebounding and defending, and it's more about that than about the actual executing. It's being ready to play and being ready to make those game-winning plays, as he said a few times. And I thought of Marcus a lot when he kept saying that, but that always happens. We've been saying that about Marcus for a long time, and he didn't have a whole lot of those in this one. But down the stretch, I just thought defensively, none of these guys really did. They have to find a way to regain that characteristic that they had last year.
That's a good point. Like how many moments were there in this game where they could have just shut it off? Like get that rebound, Levert, convert that opportunity where they had 4 seconds left for Tatum to shoot. A couple moments in overtime, that long pass that Smart threw over Jalen's head. I know they were down, but that would have pulled them within one, and you probably have a chance at that point. Not executing in big moments was definitely a factor tonight.
That was the guy, Jimmy.
That was the guy. Yeah. Yeah.
another two just to get it in there.
Got him up there. It is worth it, though. Sometimes you just got to get it off your chest, a little frustration. But
yeah, $2. Why not?
$2 chucks. I love those $2 chucks.
Yeah.
Love them.
$2 chucks. We'll do a few $2 chucks tonight, especially after a loss. You got to get it off your chest.
Yeah. All right. So look, it's one game, but again, a lot of things that are definitely troubling. I don't know that it gets fixed. I don't know. We'll see. Like it's not.
Sunday's going to be a similar game. Dynamic guards, a lot of shooting, big man that can hurt you in Porzingis. Like if they play like this again, they'll lose to the Wizards too.
Well, I mean, again,
come on.
Let's be real.
Beal, Barton,
Beal. We still want Beal?
Porzingis, Kuzma.
I mean, here's the truth of it. The Philly game was excellent. You had 20 turnovers on night 2. You squeaked by Orlando in game 3, and then you've got these back-to-back kind of duds here. There's more not to like than to like right now. But there's plenty to like in terms of the offense, plenty to like in terms of Tatum, kind of looking like a more complete all-around player. But as a team right now, there's a lot of things not to love. That's going on with them right now. And it's not they're just awesome, they'll snap their fingers and turn it around sort of thing. So you just need to see it. You need to see cleaner efforts start to finish. You need to see them not give up 120 points also, because they're doing that a lot.
Like every game.
Yeah, I'm not worried about the offense, really. Even if they did have shaky moments tonight, I think they're doing all the right thing.
They shut down in the second half. You're
going to get Grant back for Sunday, and that's a big deal for their spacing and all that. So
it is.
I think they'll be fine on that end. Defensively, I'm getting worried. Like through the Orlando game, you say, oh, it's early. Chicago was bad, and tonight again, 130, 40 points apiece to the guards. You didn't see that last year after the trade deadline. Did anything like that? Anything close second half last year to this? Not that I can remember.
Not a lot.
No. They've given up 117 or more in every game but one. I mean,
well, scoring's up around the league too, so we kind of are gonna have to adjust to that. Your favorite rule, Jimmy, there, the transition one, I think, has boosted scoring a little bit, but
and you look at
120, 130, that's too high.
Golden State's defense, they're also kind of bottom third of the league right now. There's a few teams that defense is supposed to be their hallmark that aren't playing great defense right now, and scoring is way up, no doubt about that. So yeah, it maybe it corrects itself a little bit. But I mean, the Celtics are, I mean, bad right now. It's not just not okay; they're bad. The defense is bad. So Sunday, wait, who we got Sunday?
Wizards.
The Wizards. What time's that one?
6.
Okay, that's a manageable one. We're back with that, 6 o'clock Garden Report. We'll see who's there, but we should have a cast of characters covering that game. Celtics fall to 3-2 with this one. 132-123. A fun game, an entertaining game, still a frustrating loss.
Oh,
Yeah, it was
man,
fun.
some of those Mitchell dunks.
I think
Oof.
I think you guys were all a little surprised when I had the Cavs as my 4 seed, but Bobby, I mean, a little bit more respect for the Cavs tonight without Garland.
I love the Cavs. You know, I have Justin Rowan on my
go, here we
podcast
go.
like every month. I always do my Cavs check-in. I love them. One of my favorite teams. Not quite Raptors love, but I got a lot of
I
respect
think
for
they're
this
gonna be a
team.
little problem.
Yeah. Yeah. So thanks again, guys. Anyone else wants to throw anything in? Now is your time.
I got a question for Bobby. You got one choice. What fountain soda are you going with behind you? You got one cup.
What do we got? Can of dry ginger ale. Always loved it.
You're a
Every time
ginger
I'm
ale
on
guy?
an airplane.
I should have known that. You should get stamped ginger ale on your forehead. I should have known that. It's ginger ale
No
guy.
drink.
I mean,
No drink. No what we gonna
No
call it?
caffeine.
Soft drink. No soft drink makes you feel better than a nice ginger ale.
they give you ginger ale when you're sick. They're like, yeah, sip some ginger ale. You'll feel better.
Yeah, and that's the point. Makes you feel good.
I like ginger
Would they
ale.
call it the healthy soda?
I don't think you can go anything but Coca-Cola fountain soda. I think that's just
No,
the
you
OG.
have to. Sometimes you need it.
You need
Sometimes
it.
there's certain
You
things
just-
that just call for a fountain Coke.
Here's
Yeah, I agree.
I drank a ton of Coke in middle school, and I just gave it up. And I haven't had
No,
it in
I've
years.
completely given it up. But
Yeah.
if I see it, I'm like, oh, I want that so bad.
Once in a while.
You know what was good with a nice-
Once in a while you can have it.
And
It's
once a
portion control,
year,
people.
a root beer, a grape soda, and an orange soda. That's about it. That's all I can do. But man, I love those.
Yeah.
Once a
I
year,
mean,
Laura, my wife's parents for some reason buy like those mini, like 9-ounce bottles
Oh,
of
yeah.
of Sunkissed
yeah.
and all of those things, and they're always in the fridge. And every time I go up there, I'm like, I'm having a freaking orange
You
soda.
gotta
today.
crack one sometimes. It just hits the spot, brings you back to the good old days.
I love it.
Tell you
Oh my
what, though, they've been jacking the sugar up. I think they jack the sugar up every couple of years. I'm telling you, if you look at a bottle, like a 20-ounce bottle of like,
If you
orange
get a
soda,
bottle, you're getting
it's like
120%.
75 grams of sugar.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable. Here's a
That's-
little pop quiz for you guys. How many grams of sugar do you think is in a sugar packet? Like that
So
you put
few. It's like 15 or something.
No,
Or-
it's even less.
Or
It's
less.
3.
5 or
It's like
something.
3.
Okay. Yeah.
So picture all those sugar packets
Just-
going into one bottle of soda. You know how many packets of sugar that is? Like when you get like coffee,
It's
you put like
crazy.
one packet in. You're talking like 20 packets of sugars going into these bottles. People don't even realize that. It's unbelievable.
It's insane.
When you realize that, you'll stop drinking it. Like that's what happened to me.
You can't handle the corn syrup. That's why you got to get the Mexican Coke. That's the good stuff.
Oh, the
Ooh,
good
those
sugar.
always
Yeah,
are
if
good.
you
That's
can
good with a
find-
nice pizza.
You got to have a guy. You got to have a Mexican Coke guy.
I cook with it. No, you can get it in a market basket. It's a good. It's good for like if you're gonna make like a
You know what I
carnitas, and you're gonna put it in a slow cooker. It's a good thing to use for the base. Coca-Cola. It's awesome.
Yeah, I'll give it a little. Okay, give it a
It's
little
good.
what? Like a little zest.
It's just good.
Someone's
Little
just getting-
sweetness, little flavor. It's
someone's-
terrific.
Someone's just getting to the show looking for some basketball talk, and they hit the
Well,
they hit the soda
They're
segment.
at the happy hour of the
They
show.
got
at the
here-
very
you're
end.
too late. You're too late. You should have been here an hour ago.
With the
We got
zappy
Zach,
hour.
the Zappy Hour. Yeah, we
No
should have
more.
that too.
Rest in
Check us
peace,
out. We
Zappy
got
hour.
Patriots that day too. 1:00 game. We'll have a post game show coming up as well.
I
Mac is
made a
back.
page. I made a Patriots post game appearance. If anyone wants to check out last week's
That was-
episode,
Jimmy
Little
saved us.
call to the bullpen. Had some technical difficulties. I jumped in. Did about what, half hour, 40 minutes.
It was awesome.
Kept it going.
Yeah.
I had to criticize the team and Bill. I mean, I had to do what I had to do. I didn't want to, but I had to after that performance. It's absolutely pathetic performance, top to bottom against the Bears. So
Yeah. It was
I
bad.
had to do it. I didn't want to. I had to.
It was
So
bad.
we'll see. This is a must-win game against the Jets. How far the Patriots have fallen. A must-win game against the Jets to save their season. That's where we're at right now.
And a must-win game against the Wizards.
You're going, right, John?
Yeah.
Oh, you're still going.
Yeah, I'll be in the Meadowlands.
That's right. Any CLNS New Yorkers, John, you're gonna let them know where you're gonna be.
I had
after
a guy
this weekend,
invite me to lunch already. He said he's got a pizza joint in Jersey City in near
No
the
way,
Meadowlands.
he has one.
There you go.
I'm coming.
Yeah,
We
I'm
need
gonna
a
drive down
one
to try
bite
the
one bite
pizza.
review. We need
Yeah.
a score.
exactly.
Bite score.
Jersey pizza's good.
It's well, I stay in Brooklyn, and there's some really good shops there too.
Shout out Lucali.
Williamsburg, a couple other joints, really good stuff. Can't go wrong. Anyway, we're gonna wrap it. Thanks guys for hanging. It was a loss, but a game is a game is a game. It was a fun one. Sherrod at the Garden, Josue at the Garden, Bobby at the Garden. Check us out. We'll have a ton more stuff coming up on our YouTube channel. Those guys will have some post-game wrap-ups. All our post-game sound is there. And we'll follow up with it. And then we got more stuff coming up Sunday. So we are done. Once again, Athletic Greens, if you haven't already purchased it, please give it a shot or just look at it. Just check it out. You might like
just look at it.
You might like it.
Look at it.
Do a little bit of research on it. It's worthwhile. Like I said, everybody here on the Garden Report uses it. athleticgreens.com/garden. Free 1-year supply, vitamin D plus 5 free travel packs for this terrific one-stop shopping supplement. 1 scoop, cup of water, and all of your health needs are done for
Much
the day.
better
Make sure
than
you
soda.
check
You
it
can
out.
even mix ginger ale.
Forget the soda. Go get this.
Forget the soda, my
Forget
friends.
soda. It's not doing you any good.
This is it. We're going to wrap it. Thanks a lot, guys. Good night.